Hey, everybody, and welcome to Elden Dogs. It's me, the coolest guy in the lands between, Sir Gideon Ofnir, the all-knowing. That's right, I have so many ears on my armor. I have eyes everywhere.
It's almost like you're listening.
People seem jealous of how cool I am. And honestly, you probably don't belong in the round table hold, so don't talk to me unless you can get some great runes. Then I'll be... You can come into my room then. Yeah.
I'm Alexander, and I am here helping Gideon scrape the bottom of this barrel and squeeze the last little bit of juice out of the game before the DLC comes.
Well, I disagree. This is not the bottom of the barrel.
We are getting pretty damn close.
No. That's when we start doing talismans. And we are not going to do talismans. I looked at armor sets and weapons, and I think somewhere down the line we will get to those in a broad sense. But sorceries are cool. And today we are talking about sorceries. There are two schools of magic in Elden Ring. There are sorceries and incantations. Usually, sorceries are dependent on the intelligence stat. It's for the smart folks. It's for the scientists. It's for the people that study real things and not two wiggly fingers that I believe in, which is they're actually real as well. But sorceries have a variety of effects, from conjuring projectiles to calling down meteors, and even stabbing invisible blood women.
Yeah.
To make it rain blood on dem hoes, as they say. Yeah, some sorceries can become more powerful by charging your spell. You will need to have a glintstone staff to do these.
All the cool kids have them.
All of the cool kids.
It's like you got to have Converse All-Stars. Oh, no, what is it now? It's like Supreme hoodies, Crocs, and a glintstone staff. I think that's what the kids are wearing.
Back in the day, it was a Nimbus 2001 before J.K. Rowling became the biggest monster in the world.
That's true. Well, in my day, it was the Darth Maul double-sided lightsaber.
That shit's still cool.
It is very cool. I think my mom still has mine.
Happy 25th anniversary to the Phantom Menace.
Hell yeah.
It's weird saying that out loud. I feel older now.
Yeah, no. We are getting old.
You know, and Elden Ring is getting old. We are around the corner from the DLC, and I can't wait. Glintstone are stones or minerals which draw their power from interplanar forces. These things came from outer space, and there is some power in it. And one of my favorite mythological weapons is when you hear about like an Egyptian pharaoh who's got like a knife made out of meteorite. I was like, dude,
you have a knife made from space?
That shit's hardcore.
That's wild.
And you worship cats? You're my dude. You're my guy. So there are 70 sorceries in the game. There are more incantations. I would have gotten that wrong if I had to guess.
Yeah, I definitely would have got that wrong.
But do you use sorceries often, Alexander?
I used quite a few. I tried a few. I would say quite a few. I settled into just the ones that I used a lot, the ones that were effective for me. But once I got Moonveil, it was kind of over.
You have Old Reliable, and
yes.
You open up the box, and it's Glintstone Pebble?
Yep. Pretty much.
Yeah, I do have a bad habit with all video games where I find what works early on, and I wind up not trying a lot of other things because I'm already got my play style. I've got it figured out. That's why it's important to try different builds or to try different runs, different stats.
I found what worked for me pretty early on. I had the Glintstone Pebble. The Glintstone Arc was also a good one for me.
Yeah.
I remember those two being pretty hefty. Once I got Moonveil, though, it was kind of game over because I really relied on that. But on my new build, I did like the way that the magic worked in this game. It allowed me to kind of, as some people would say, cheese it sometimes. But if it works, it works. So fuck off. Yeah. In my new play, I'm doing more incantations. I'm doing more of a faith build because that is something that I didn't really do. Yeah. I did it for a little bit when I respect, but I went straight back to sorceries.
It's hard for me to want to do a faith build for someone who was raised Catholic, and I don't have a lot of faith. I'm more like Carl Sagan in the Cosmos. I want to watch that And this is the bloodstone. There is the formless mother. I'm like, yes, Sagan.
Now you're speaking my language.
Yes, Mr. Sagan. There are some trainers in the lands between. You can go to Thops, who is a badass guy. I like Thops a lot. Gets no respect. Sorceress Selin, hello, mommy. There is Gowry, who definitely isn't a bug. Muriel, all hail the Turtle Pope.
Yep. Love that guy.
Yep. And Preceptor Celavis, that asshole with a cool hat.
Yep.
Great hat.
Big hat energy.
Big hat energy.
Yep.
Yeah. His hat is bigger than yours. No questions asked.
And and I'm fine with that. I can live with that.
And he's got all of like the stars underneath. I was like, dude.
That dude's dope.
Drip. And some trainers can learn from scrolls to give you more spells. There's not a lot of scrolls, but you can take them to Muriel, Sorceress Selin, or Preceptor Celavis.
Selin was my girl.
Yeah, I always go to Muriel because you can also do incantations. And that way I have the one-stop shop. Because when you use a scroll somewhere, you can't use it elsewhere.
I like checking in on Selin. I was hoping that maybe she was free for like Red Lobster or something, but she's chained to the wall.
But also, I mean, if you're brown bagging it, we don't know what's under there.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. She's sassy though.
Yeah. She's like, oh, you came back, little, what she calls you, like glintstone pebble or something. She like talks down at you. I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Regu Lucaria is the magic school with different fields of study. This is, if you're an up and coming child in the lands between, which you don't really see anymore, you would go to Regu Lucaria, hopefully. If you're a noble, you could even buy your way in, and you're going to be horrible at magic, most likely, but you can get in there as well. There's various conspectuses. They are represented by the different stone masks. We've talked about this 30 episodes ago. There's Carlos for comets, Olivinus for meteors, the Twin Sage, all manners of sorceries. The Lazuli view the moon and as equal to the stars. That's Karian sorceries. And then Hema, which quell conflict with cannon and gavel. I am into that.
Yeah.
Yep. My magic is I summon a big hammer. I'm like, finally, you're speaking my language here.
Yes, I can hit you with that. It's tangible and I like it.
Here's some justice. And then there's the Herodis Conspectus, which is nomads, which use night sorceries. Staves, we mentioned. Some interesting things about staves. If you dual wield staves, you will get a multiplicatively stacked bonus to your spells.
Damn.
Yeah.
And I could not pronounce that word if I tried.
If you enter Google staves pronunciation, it goes staves. And that's how I knew for sure. Part of me wants to say staves, but it's staves. And as far as scaling, we're not going to talk about all of the different staves because if you're using, the Gelmir staff, you're going to have lava bonuses. And we can briefly mention those as they come up, but essentially, if you're going to use a build based on this school of magic, you want the staff associated with it in general. But the Azure Glintstone staff will reduce casting time for all sorceries at the cost of more FP. And Lusat's Glintstone staff enhances sorcery scaling, but it costs additional FP. So those are just kind of two broad ones. And we're going to just jump right in. The first school is Academy Sorceries. This is kind of like 101. This is the backbone. The Glintstone Pebble and Glintstone Arc, which you mentioned, they are going to be some primary early game spells, low FP cost, quick to cast. The Glintstone Pebble is a little pew, 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 pew.
Yeah.
And the Arc is going to be like a nice wider range, kind of like, not a shotgun, but like it's going to do like a little bit more of a widespread attack. And yeah, those are going to be what you get early on. The Comet and Glintstone Comet Shard are going to be dealing higher damage and have longer reach with a higher FP cost. They can pierce through multiple targets. So that's great. If it goes right through somebody, that's good. Yeah, Comet Shard also has a trail behind it that deals area of effect. Yeah, bigger the better, more FP. Glintstone stars and Star Shower will create projectiles with strong homing and are quite effective at agile and evasive enemies. So yeah, the arc is a horizontal arc. That's going to be like a nice piercing AoE. The stars, that's the one that shoots 3 magic shooting stars that pursue the target with quite excellent tracking. Then there's the Swift Glintstone Shard, which shorter range by about 80%, but it's very fast. The Great Glintstone Shard, compared to the Pebble and compared to the Glintstone Pebble, the Shard costs about 63% more FP, travels a small amount further, moves at the same speed, but does 40 to 45% more damage. Essentially, I mean, you're going to get stronger. You're going to have more effective spells, right?
Yeah, I did end up using that one quite a bit too.
That one's nice. I do like the tracking on that. The Crystal Burst is essentially a little shotgun, which is cool.
I never got this one down to like use, but I think if I went back and used it now that I had Moonveil, because before I had that, I was very mobile, trying to keep as much distance as possible, so it just wasn't effective.
Yeah.
But with Moonveil, I get up in them guts, you know? I'm up in there.
Like, you're in the thick of it.
I'm in the thick of it.
Yeah. So. And the little shotgun is nice and really high stance damage for the Crystal Burst and still pretty low FP and not too high of an intelligence requirement. The Crystal Barrage, conical mid-range projectile barrage, slightly longer range shotgun. The Star Shower is going to be 6 magic shooting stars that pursue the target.
This was my runaway one. This was, oh shit, I need to get out of here. And I would cast this so that I could get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
And still do at least a little damage.
And it's going to slow them down. Anything that tracks the target is going to help you out. Getting even bigger, we got the Shard Spiral, which is twin penetrating projectiles that form a spiral as they travel. This is great on large enemies because as it's passing through them, if they have a long hitbox, it'll keep hitting them on the way through. So that's a perk of the Shard Spiral. The Glintstone Comet Shard, still not too high of an FP cost, but this is another penetrating projectile. And
I like this one too.
Can be chain casted. Chain casting, you cast it once and you can just do another one real quick. The Comet Shard is a big, powerful thing. But then the strongest one we got here is the Comet. Under Academy projectiles, there's a lot of Academy sorceries, but the Comet is a piercing projectile, trailing area of effect, like we mentioned, can pierce through multiple enemies in a straight line, and that's going to be the strongest projectile from the Academy sorceries. Now, do you want to do the Academy buffs?
Yeah, I can do that. We got some buffs from the Academy. Scholar's Armament, enchants armaments held in the right hand with magic affinity attacks. The sorcery can be cast while in motion. Taught to the Knights of the Cuckoo by the Academy as payment for their contract. It's going to add magic damage to your weapon. I think I dabbled with this for a minute, but I don't think I stuck with it.
I didn't do a lot of buffing or debuffing my first run at all, but if an enemy is weak to magic, this is its utility. My problem is I'm just too damn good at everything that I do, so I don't need to experiment too much with anything.
We got the Scholar's Shield. Enchants shields held in the left hand for additional damage negation, increasing your shield's magic defense by 70%. Other defenses by 30. Multiplies stamina and damage received by 0.65. I did use this when I was running the shield because I would do a shield and a staff.
Yeah,
at very low level at the beginning.
This is very effective if you are a shield user.
Yeah, and I relied on the shield for a while, like all the way up through Godric.
Yeah, I definitely want to do a shield-based run, a parry-based run.
Shields are going to be so cool now with the expansion.
With the attack shield?
Yeah, that's just speaking my language.
Sign me up.
Yeah, give me one of those and like a long pike.
Yeah.
If that's possible, oof. Terra Magic draws an Academy.
Terra Magica.
Yes, Magica.
It's fancier. It's got an extra letter at the end.
I got to put my pinky out when I say that. Terra Magica draws an Academy sigil upon the ground, raising the magic strength of those within. Magic damage is multiplied by 1.35 and 1.2 in PvP. while you're on the sigil lasts for 30 seconds. You can cast the spell off of the sigil.
Yeah, so if you cast a spell off the sigil and it doesn't hit the enemy until you jump onto the sigil, it will get the boost.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
But if you cast a spell on the sigil and then you jump off before it hits them, it won't affect them.
You know, I did give this a go-to because I was like, yeah, I'm throwing so much magic at these motherfuckers. I might as well, increase my damage. But I think I moved too much. That's probably why I didn't really see a benefit to it.
Terra Magica is pretty cool. In Regula Lucaria, you take that secret way to the very top where you have to go through like the crystal cave or whatever it's called, and it takes you to the top of Regula Lucaria, and that's where you find Terra Magica. And somebody casts it up at the top, and it covers the whole school.
No shit.
Which is kind of why Regula Lucaria's it's better to do magic there.
Did they patch that out?
Well, it's more of like a lore reason. It doesn't actually work. But
I was going to say, like, that's insane.
Yeah.
That makes sense, though. Why magic? I see what you're saying now. I thought you meant a player actually did that. I'm like,
no.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
All right. Good to know. Pro tip, stacks with magic, shrouding cracked tier. And mega pro tip.
Mega pro tip
here. The sigil can extend through fog doors cast before you enter. I did not fucking know that.
Dude.
Did not know that.
Yep. So you cast that outside of there, and then you pop your cracked tier that lets you cast with infinite FP for a period of time. Go in there and use one of your like ultimate spells, and you're going to get boosted and have infinite FP.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to go in there and make it hail.
Dude. Just hold it up there.
Pebble, 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 pebble. It's going to be great.
You're going to use it on the pebbles.
I do. I find myself going back to the pebbles so much because it's easy damage. It's not a whole bunch. But then when they get close, Moonveil's going to fuck them up.
Yeah. It's a way of life.
I just did that unsheath attack. Because you can cast it vertically or horizontally, depending on which enemies you're fighting.
Yeah.
And if there's multiple,
you and your Moonveil.
Dude,
we're talking about sorceries today.
I know, but that's why I did glintstones, because they're quick.
Yeah.
And it worked with my playstyle very well. And like you said earlier, like once I found something that worked, I didn't want to deviate from it. I got so comfortable, which is why my current playthrough of the game is so much fun, because I'm trying new things and I'm broadening my horizons.
Now, there was somebody at the Academy that wanted to try new things, and he was laughed out. They said, "You're a dumbass, and no one's ever going to like you."
Yeah, you should just go home.
And his name was Thops. And I put down Thops the Badass here because Thops' barrier. This is the lifelong pursuit of Thops the Blundstone. Do we have to call him that? Can't we just say he's like, do you have to add Thops the Dumbass at the end of his name?
Might as well put a dunce cap on him.
This creates a magic force field that deflects incoming sorceries and incantations, hold to continuously create barriers. You just hold it up, and anyone that's sending spells your way just sends it right back.
It's like a ward.
It's pretty cool. Future generations will learn. They will know the foolishness of the sneering sorcerers who ridiculed this theory, little realizing that it was in fact a discovery worthy of a whole new conspectus of the Academy.
Genius is not always well received.
He's gonna be respected after his death, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Conjures a barrier that deflects spells for 1 second. But yes, you can hold to maintain it. One of the strongest defensive tools early in the game, or just in the game, for dealing with enemy spells. Works on pest threads.
Really?
Yep. So if you're getting 30 pest threads thrown at you, if you just hold this up, just right back at them.
That's awesome.
Very good to have in Caelid. Does not work, though, on Morgoth's golden throwing knives. So don't try and be smart and do that. Yeah, only 7 FP or 7 per tick. A tick is going to be like a unit of time. But yeah, otherwise, if you hold it up, it's 7 per tick.
If we ever get this animated Netflix series of Elden Ring, where it's just stories from the lands between, I want to make one about a young sorcerer, like the prisoner, with the man in the iron mask, Leonardo DiCaprio style, you know?
Yeah, with the little eye.
Yeah. I want him, prisoner, breaking out. He knows about this, so he travels to go get it. And like that's the whole first part of the episode. And then he gets it. He's like, I'm gonna go fight Margit now. And he's so
and then he dies.
And right away. And that's just the end of that. The end of the episode.
Put those foolish ambitions to rest.
Yeah, that would be hilarious. Hits him right in the eye hole.
Thops, we love you.
Next up, we got the Academy Other.
Category? Yep.
Yep, I read the heading and not the actual thing.
Well, it's the category. I mean, certain spells are obviously offensive spells. Certain ones are obvious buffs. And then sometimes there's just other.
Which would be Starlight.
Fucking useless.
Creates a glowing orb of magical energy above your head that acts as an auxiliary light for 180 seconds. I have a lantern on my belt.
No, that's all you need.
I don't need you.
And it looks dumb. It
does.
looks dumb having a little floaty light above your head.
It looks like I have an idea all the time.
And I don't.
I used it in a dark cave once, and I already had the lantern. I'm like, this was a waste of time.
Thanks, Starlight. Go back to the boys. Did you get my joke there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Thank you. All right. The next one we have is the Hema School in the Academy. This has got two of them. The Gavel of Hema. This creates a magical great hammer and slams it the fuck down.
Makes me feel like I'm Triple H in the Attitude Era hitting dudes with sledgehammers.
Dude, true. I think that Triple H would have gone to the Hema School. Close range forward strike into a forward spherical area of effect. You gain 20 poise during the attack, less likely to get interrupted. Pro tip here, if dual wielding staves, you can bypass the single follow-up attack and chain this repeatedly by casting from one hand to the other, just back and forth and back and forth.
It's going to be a new dance on TikTok.
I'm into that. I would get a TikTok. What is TikTok?
It's an app
Is that for China?
that they used to spy on you.
The Cannon of Hema, mid-range projectile in area of effect, great for crowd control. It can send smaller enemies flying, which is always funny. And like I said, if dual-wielding staves bypass a single follow-up attack and chain cast this repeatedly, and I don't know if I meant to put that twice or not, but
It's there twice.
it's there twice.
We have the next category, the Academy Stone Digger Sorceries.
Stone Digger.
We got boosting, Digger Staff for minors, 20% buff.
Yep. If you want to have your horrible, unusable Stone Digger Sorceries buffed, use that Digger Staff.
There's one person out there. There's at least one.
I'm a miner. What do you want me to say? It's what I do. I mine.
Yep. Just stay away from Drake.
Uh-oh.
This rap beef has infected my life in a very, very positive and negative
It's
way.
over.
It is over.
Yeah.
Kendrick won. Shatter Earth imbues the ferrule of the caster's staff with magic, then thrusts it into the ground to create a magical shockwave. Allows one follow-up attack, point blank, downward thrust, and close range AoE.
Think Gandalf
You shall not
on the
pass.
bridge of Khazad-dûm.
Yeah.
Except it's not nearly as effective as that. This has, if you're not right there, you're going to barely touch them.
And it's interesting that I didn't think Gandalf while I was reading that. You know what I thought of? Ragnar Lothbrok,
From,
Vikings.
Oh,
Who
never seen
wants
it.
to be king? It's the best part of the entire series.
okay.
Mild spoiler. I didn't know you hadn't seen it.
I'm not going to watch it either way.
It's so good. You should definitely watch it.
Don't have time for that.
Make
I
time.
got to play Shadow of the Erd Tree.
Make time. And then we got Rock Blaster, which was my nickname in high school.
It's a horrible nickname.
I threw rocks at cars. For
Horrible
fun.
nickname.
Small town stuff.
Horrible nickname. What's up, Rock Blaster?
You fucking nailed that Honda Civic, dog.
Dude, Cumfart is a better nickname than Rock Blaster.
Imbues the ferrule of the caster's staff with magic, then thrusts it into the ground to create a massive magical shockwave. Hold to continue moving without striking the ground, and then push the end of the staff into enemies. Point blank continuous drill attacks and close range AoE. While casting continuously, the staff is held as a drill and can be moved freely. The drill bit can also deal damage continuously by drilling the enemies. Difficult to land since it's so pinpoint, so make them sleepy.
It is okay. I'm never going to use a Stone Digger Sorcery, though.
I've seen some clips on YouTube and on Instagram of people doing this.
Yeah.
And when it's done effectively by people who are good at it, it looks pretty badass.
Yeah, but there's other things that are more badass.
Yeah,
In
this
my
is-
opinion.
I can appreciate it, but it's not for me.
I'm not a Rock Blaster.
It's like seafood. Like, I know people like it. Not for me.
Half of it's for me. Our next entire branch of sorceries, we have Primeval Sorceries. This is developed and wielded by some of the goat sorcerers.
The Tom Brady's of
So
sorcery.
we're thinking, like Tom Brady's glintstone staff. We're talking about
Michael Jordan's glintstone staff.
glintstone staff. Yep, Michael Jordan's as well. Yeah, these are Actually, these are still under Academy Sorceries. Or maybe these are in their own category. Either way, they're a step above all of them. The Primeval Sorceries, the first one we're going to talk about is Stars of Ruin. This is from the progenitor of Glintstone Stars and Star Shower, showing the culmination of its archetype. It fires 12 dark shooting stars that pursue the target. This sorcery can be cast while in motion. It's a good thing when you're running away or if you're charging towards somebody. Charging will increase potency, greater damage, but weaker tracking than Star Shower, but you are going to be shooting out, 12 of them. Better at a slight distance. And if you are using Lusat's Glintstone Crown, increases damage of this by 15%, as well as Star Shower and Glintstone Stars by 10%. Pretty powerful sorcery. We have the Founding Reign of Stars. This is the eldest primeval sorcery. This is OG. This is the first sorcery. Said to have been discovered by an ancient astrologer up on the mountaintops of the giants. A sorcery of legendary status. You summon a dark cloud of stars overhead. Shortly afterwards, the cloud will release a violent deluge of star rain. Can be cast in motion again. This is just making it rain stars on people.
Which sounds awesome.
And it looks cooler than it sounds. And our final primeval sorcery we got is the Comet Azure. You know it. You love it. If you have the sword of Night and Flame, you are familiar with this as well. I am. This fires a tremendous comet in a torrent akin to the distant starry expanse, the place said to be the origin of Glintstone. Powerful beam of magic energy at Kamehameha.
Yeah.
Because it also is a big wind-up. If you don't get this, if Goku can't say it all, then it doesn't work.
Yeah, and it's like the longer he says it and the more he yells, the more powerful it is.
If he says it for 5 episodes where he's building it up, which they do sometimes, you know it's going to be big. Krillin, I need some time. I'll go die.
I got this.
I got this. Yeah, lengthy cast time. And you cannot change direction once it activates. But that's why if you have your Terra Magica set on the other side of the door and you just Comet Azure straight at the boss right when you walk in, you'll do well. Yeah, holding the cast button continues the beam. If you have Azure's Glintstone Crown, it boosts damage by 15%, but it costs 15% more as well. And yeah, pro tip, use the Cerulean Hidden Tier for long and free casting. You can get quite a bit out of it.
Free casting would be incredible.
This attack does make AI act a little weird as they roll around sometimes into the beam.
Well, they freak out.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. They react to the casting animation, not what this animation creates, it seems, thus making Comet Azure somewhat usable against bosses that can dodge, most notably Tarnished type enemies. Interesting. Yeah. Except for Melania, Blade of Mikola, as she dodges away from the spell and tries to approach the caster from a safe path.
She's smart.
She's smart. Despite that her brain is rotten, she knows not to do dumb things, I guess.
Next up, we have the Carrion Royal Family Sorceries. They encompass a variety of close and long-range offensive spells, which conjure magic elemental blades. Some of the boosting would be the Carrion Glintstone Staff. Enhances melee spells by 15%.
Yep.
I like this guy. I like this one.
Yeah, lots of swords. They're all about magic swords.
Carrion swords, unlike corporeal. Got it. Corporeal weapons. They will not rebound off a hard surface.
Very cool.
Yes.
Very cool.
Crystallids, come at me.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, bear buddy.
Yep, this is going to hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Carrion Glintstone Staff, Greatsword, Piercer, and Slicer.
That's what that'll boost.
Yep. The Carrion Slicer conjures a magic sword and delivers a swift sweeping slash. This sorcery can be used without delay after performing another action. If properly optimized, this spell is one of the highest DPS outputs in the game. Coming at the cost of poise damage and moveset variety, these weaknesses can be easily offset by many of the other Carrion Glintstone attacks. That's pretty neat.
Pretty neat. But there's so many other swords.
Yes, the Carrion Greatsword conjures a magic greatsword and then delivers a sweeping blow. The sorcery can be cast repeatedly. Very useful against Black Knife assassins, as their side leaps are unable to evade the wide arc.
Essentially, my magic, I'm getting bigger swords.
Yep, and this is where I just use the Glintstone arc. When you got a boy that likes to go sideways.
Yeah, but This is a sword.
I know, but I didn't. I had that. I had the arc already, so I was like,
but this is a sword.
I know it's much cooler. The Carrion Piercer conjures a magic greatsword to impale foes. Charging lengthens the initial step in. Highly lethal when used against single foes riding alone. It's just jousting.
It's just jousting.
Yeah, I saw this at the Ren Fair once. It was awesome. Lingering hitbox is useful for roll catching. Pretty dope.
Yeah, I love me a piercer.
And Adula's Moonblade. Sorcery of Adula, the glintstone dragon, Ronnie's pet. Yeah, I feel bad for fighting it.
I don't. Anything that tries to kill me gets
Fair.
Gets to kill me 10 times, but then...
I got you.
Got him.
Conjures a cold magic greatsword, then delivers a sweeping blow that launches a blade-like projectile of frost.
I like that.
This sorcery can be cast repeatedly. Considered both a carrion sword of sorcery and a cold sorcery at the same time. This means that the damage is boosted by both the carrion glintstone staff and the snow witch hat. So if you got your drip correct, this is going to be a lot of fun.
It'll be a lot more effective.
Frostbite, the initial slash inflicts 90, while the projectile is going to hit for 35.
I like that. Our next school here in the Carian royal family sources, we have the Phalanx. This summons elemental swords that hover above your head as you move, making them ideal for casting before you enter battle. Anyone that I see walking around with 10 swords above their head, I will think about it. Within short to mid-range, they will launch towards your targeted enemy, or, if not locked on, to the nearest enemy. And both Glintblade and Carian Phalanx cause heavy staggering and can interrupt attacks.
Is this the one that comes inherently on Rogier's rapier?
I'm not sure. This sounds right, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I can't remember if it's swords or the glintstone pebbles that hover above you.
No, I'm thinking it's one of these phalanxes, but
Yeah, it's one of these ones.
the Glintblade Phalanx creates a defensive arc of magic glint blades overhead, which automatically attack nearby foes. This sorcery can be cast while in motion, summons 5 glint blades above you, and it's able to track invisible enemies as well.
That's so nice.
Pro tip. Yeah, good choice to track invisible teardrop scarabs. I didn't know this when I was tracking the first time, so I'm out there swinging at air. Someone thinks that I'm methed out of my mind.
Yep.
I'm like, there's a beetle here.
I could see the footprints.
Yeah, so use a phalanx. We have the Great Blade Phalanx, which even larger glint blades above you. These are used by the enchanted troll knights. These are the comrades of the young Renala, bound by oath. Phalanx spells are a good way for mages to whittle down an enemy's stance. These blades also, it's important to know they break into, if they break coming into contact with any geometry. So if you bump into a door, it's going to pop them. So you can't prep yourself with the phalanxes before passing through a fog gate, and you must take care after casting not accidentally break the blades on any surface. And then the final one is the Carian Phalanx. Guess what? We got more fucking glint blades. Can be cast while in motion. An enhanced version of the glint blade sorcery used by enchanted knights. This gives you 9 glint blades. This is great as long as you're not in an enclosed space and you like having dancing swords around your head.
Yeah. I would.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty heavy metal. Next up, we have the Carrion Projectiles. Magic Downpour is going to be the first one. Summons a mass of magic that fires projectiles over a wide area. This sorcery can be cast while in motion, and charging will extend its duration. Said to have been taught by the Crystallians to mark the swearing of the Old Concord.
I guess they made an agreement at some point.
Yeah.
We don't know about it.
Contrary to the other similar spells, Magic Downpour actually can be aimed at a specific target when casting, as opposed to targeting a single preset area. This makes it particularly useful against large enemies who can be hit repeatedly by the spell. Your tree sentinels, welcome to the show.
Hate them.
Yeah, this is going to be fun for you. I'm going to hit you a whole bunch with this thing.
Yeah, you will.
Magic Glint Blade creates a sigil overhead from which an enemy-seeking glint blade appears after a brief delay. This sorcery can be used while in motion, and again, charging increases the delay. Said to be the prototype of the sword phalanx sorceries wielded by the Royal Enchanted Knights. Early and effective method of punishing dodgers, particularly tarnished enemies.
Yeah.
Magic Glint Blade can be very useful to cheese many types of ranged enemies. Most enemies will fire their projectiles for center mass. This sorcery, however, fires from above the caster. This allows you to cast over barriers that can block enemy projectiles while not impeding your own, such as guardrails, barricades, and walls. Did not know that.
Very cool.
The things you'll learn.
There's a lot. I mean, if there's somebody out there that uses all of these sorceries regularly, and that's not us.
No,
But I learned a lot from doing this research, which is very cool.
yeah.
Surprisingly, though, I'm more into incantations from what I've learned.
Really?
There's some really wild ones. Our next Karian royal family little group here is the parry abilities. This is the Karian Retaliation. Swing your staff to dispel any incoming sorceries and incantation, using their power to retaliate with glint blades. You take their incoming sorceries or incantation, you just glint blade right back at them. Successful negation results in 3 floating glint blades launching toward an enemy. This was the Karian royal family's secret means to prepare against the disloyalty of the Academy. I mean, something was already brewing if you're preparing for the battle beforehand. Like,
Yeah.
you know something's up. The moon and stars would one day go their separate ways. This is boosted by main hand magic and status buffs. Seemingly the entire buff value gets added to each individual sword. Some different applicable buffs would be from the Moonlight Greatsword, Ruinous Ghost Flame, Scholar's Armament, various greases, and probably most other buffs. So yeah, anything that's going to be buffing hand magic or status will just automatically get applied to these glint blades. Pretty cool.
Next up, we got the Carrion Status Recovery, Lucidity. That, I don't think I know what this is.
Yeah, it's a little like an antidote.
I don't know if I know this one. Alleviates buildup of sleep and madness. The sorcery can be cast while in motion. That'd be pretty nice.
Well,
But
how often? No
I
one's
don't
casting
think I'm-
sleep on you.
Yeah, I don't think I'd use it that often.
You might be getting madness when you're like approaching that one tower, but you don't get a lot of madness either.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe this is more of a PvP scenario. It's nice to have, but it's overall, fairly not too important. We have for Karian, Loretta Sorceries. She gets her own little school here. Loretta's Great Bow, love it. Creates a magic great bow, fires a great arrow. If you don't want to be using a bow and you want to have some very nice range attacks, this is the skill for you. I use this one a lot.
Same.
Creates a magic great bow, fires that arrow. Charging will enhance potency, and you can hold it to keep that arrow knocked. Wait for enemy to get close enough. This spell is immune to the Thop's Barrier Ash of War. Someone's trying to use it, and it can penetrate that spell parry attempt. If fully charged, it will roughly do 22% more damage.
But who's got time for that?
I do. I always charge it.
know.
Usually this is my first volley to start a battle from a big distance, and I might do 2 or 3 more on the way. And then once they get close, I switch over to whatever else. Loretta's Mastery creates a magic great bow and fires 4 great arrows simultaneously. When shooting at locked on enemies or body parts close to the ground, the lower arrow generated has a tendency to hit the ground, so that's not good. It's recommended to aim at either a higher up body part or to shoot from a higher elevation, such as on horseback or down at something. Yeah. Magic arrows, always cool.
Big fan. Next up, we have the Karian Full Moon Sorceries. These are ideal opening attacks due to their magic defense debuff. Frostbite inflicted by Rani's Dark Moon will increase follow-up damage even further. They both start moving slowly but accelerate as they move, boosting. Like the Karian Regal Scepter will give you 10%.
Gotta love it. These are cool. I like these sorceries.
So, yeah, Rani's Dark Moon. The user's going to cast a vessel to incarnate a cold dark moon and then send it floating towards foes. So I think I used this one a couple times, but not a whole bunch.
It's got high requirements. It's got 57 FP, and if you don't have 68 intelligence, that's a high barrier of entry.
I don't know if I use this one or not.
Yeah.
At that point in the game, too, when my intelligence is that high, like I've probably settled in to the skills.
This is graduate school.
Yeah.
Like, some people go to college. they won't get to be able to do this. You have to go to graduate school to be smart enough.
The moon dispels all sorcery that touches it and temporarily reduces magic damage negation for those it strikes. Like
Great.
we said, 68 intelligence, which is quite a bit. You got to be big brain to use this shit. 10% magic defense debuff for 60 seconds and 270 frostbite buildup.
Yeah, it's pretty mean.
The Snow Witch Hat will also give you an additional 10%. So this is a viable build late game if you want to just go full on Arnold Schwarzenegger and just like ice the world.
Yeah, let's kick some ice.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a great opening volley, an opening gambit, especially with adding magic defense debuff. Like if you're casting this, you're going to be using other spells, so it's such an effective way to start a battle, and then you just follow it up with everything else you got.
And then we have Renella's Full Moon. This is the one that you can... Do you get it from a remembrance or do you get it from beating her?
You believe you get this one from beating her.
Yeah.
Which is how you get the remembrances.
Similar with no frostbite to Rani's Dark Moon. 10% magic defense debuff.
It's less effective and it requires more intelligence, but less FP.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is fine, but for the daughter. Night Sorceries, our next school. This is only the third group so far. This is all about subterfuge, offering a variety of unique and powerful abilities, such as launching unseen projectiles or attacks that can circumvent enemies' guards by hitting them from behind. Below Celia, the eternal city of Nokron sleeps. Yeah, the sorcery originates from the maiden of that place. So these are for sneaky snakes.
Sneaky snakes.
For
You want to attack from the shadows.
Yes, you can boost with the Staff of Loss, which boosts Night Shard and Night Comet. Not all of these, but just those two. For Night Sorcery attacks, the first one we're going to talk about is the Night Maiden's Mist. This releases a life-sapping silver mist before the caster, dealing damage to all caught within, including the caster.
Ouch.
This is not the sneakiest one.
Yeah, oops.
Ow. Yeah, close-range projectile, spherical AoE. The projectile drifts a short distance in a parabolic arm before falling straight down and expands into a larger cloud of corrosive mist. Very effective at guarding a ladder.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good use for it.
And then there's the Night Shart.
The what?
The Night Shart? It's when you trust yourself a little too much.
Had a little bit too much to drink and too much coffee the next morning. Don't trust that.
Swiftly fires a semi-invisible projectile into your pants. It's not seen, but it is felt. This sorcery can be used without delay after performing another action. Mid-range, undetectable projectile. Much like Swift Glintstone Shard, but it will not be detectable. They can't dodge it. They won't dodge it. That's awesome. All of these are effective because they have a 100% chance of hitting, which it's just stupid powerful. We have the Ambush Shard. This launches a projectile from a distance removed from the caster so as to strike the enemy from behind. This spawns behind them and then hits them.
Love that.
Can be cast repeatedly, long range, pinpoint. Single bolt of magic, elemental energy at your target from directly behind them. No line of sight required. Can reach through walls, around corners. And if you're using the Arrow's Reach Talisman, it will even increase the length further. These Night Sorceries are fucking cool. And then the last one is the Night Comet. Fires a semi-invisible magic comet. Can be cast repeatedly and while in motion. You can charge it. This one I call the Big Girl. It deals slightly less damage than Comet, but enemies can't dodge it. It's so powerful. Ultimate NPC killer. I would put this up near the top of what I consider the coolest sorceries in the game. Not too much FP either. Yeah, it's overall just really great.
Yeah. Next up, we have some Night Sorcery buffs. Unseen Blade. Enchants armament held in right hand, making it completely invisible. Makes your weapon invisible, you say? Question mark?
Well, it's just dumb.
Yeah.
I understand if we lived in a real world, it'd be great for people not to know I have a sword, but enemies already want to kill me whether or not I'm holding a sword.
Yeah, so the benefit is maybe just PvP so that they can't see what you're using.
Yeah, and even then, just stupid. Sorry, Unseen Blade, you're dumb.
Unseen Form makes the caster semi-invisible while on horseback. Effect extends to cover the mount.
That's cool.
That's actually got some utility to it.
Bet you can't see my horse.
But what if it only made Torrent invisible and you look like Wonder Woman driving her invisible car?
I'm in.
That'd be pretty funny.
That'd be great. I understand the benefits for like PvP. I could see this being useful if you're trying to sneak around. I'm generally not a sneaky snake, but it is what it is.
We have Eternal Darkness.
This is the ultimate night sorcery.
Creates a space of darkness that draws in sorceries and incantations. Lingering elemental projectile absorption, AOR. You're supposed to be E.
No one knows for sure.
Yes. It generates a large spherical void in front of the caster for 10 seconds, absorbing spells and non-physical projectiles. That's pretty cool. It's like creating a black hole in front of you.
Essentially, it's black hole.
Super dope.
Our next group of sorceries is the Mount Gelmir sorceries. Now, this is interesting because they require both intelligence and faith.
And this is where I start to get annoyed.
Because
I didn't have faith.
Because I have no faith.
I did not listen to George Michael once in this entire playthrough.
I don't like Neil Diamond. But yes, you require both intelligence and faith. You will receive a damage bonus if you have the Gelmir Glintstone Staff, which is I think 10% drop rate from one enemy. Tough to get anyways. It does exclusively fire damage, not magic at all. So that's good for certain scenarios. Immediately removes frostbite from a target upon impact. So if you want to proc frostbite multiple times, you do frostbite in this back and forth, and you can stack that effect, which is very effective. After discovering the ancient hexes of Gelmir, Rykard, son of Queen Renala, brought them back into practical use as new forms of sorceries. Yes, our first one we're going to talk about here is Magma Shot. Launches an orb of lava in a shallow parabolic arc that can be adjusted by tilting the in-game camera up or down.
It is also, if you do a shot of fireball, never a good idea.
And you projectile vomit?
Yeah, that's called a magma shot.
That's a magma shot. Deals initial damage and leaves a small pool of lava where it touches. When locked on, its range suffers considerably against targets at an equal or higher elevation and should be manually aimed, which we will not say often for spells. Our next one here is Roiling Magma. Launches a projectile that behaves identically to Magma Shot until it touches an enemy. If it lands on the environment, after a couple of seconds, it detonates into a large explosion. Most enemies unaware of this are drawn towards the magma ball, and
like
they walk
moths.
towards it like, oh.
That's pretty cool.
That ball? I like ball. Drawn to the light and sounds like hippies at a music festival.
Hell yeah.
Yep, too much MDMA.
Yeah.
Yeah, the M stands for magma. It's more powerful, bigger area of effect, and explosions can hit through walls, which logically is dumb, but I guess that's where the faith comes in.
You gotta have faith.
Gotta have faith, yeah. I get your George Michael reference now.
Really?
I just got it. Charging will make a bigger blast radius. Our next one, we have Gelmir's Fury. Launches a barrage of small fireballs in all directions, dealing damage on contact and leaves some pools of lava behind. Charging spells increase the duration and number of fireballs generated. Easily interrupted, no poise benefits, not too great.
And if it leaves lava everywhere, I'm just going to run into the lava while I run around like a madman because I was not very good at dodging.
You ever see that Netflix show, The Floor is Lava?
A little bit.
Surprisingly watchable.
Really?
For garbage. And then our ultimate Gelmir sorcery, Rykard's Rancor, summons searing spirits that leave a trail of delayed explosions in their wakes. These are skulls. Heavy metal.
Yeah.
The single large skull it creates drifts slowly around or straight through the victim, leaving a trail of explosions that deal repeated instances of fire damage behind. Not great at close range, as subsequent fire explosions can miss targets if too close, but yeah, it's a heavy metal spell.
Yeah.
I'm generally not a fire sorcery person myself, but I can see very cool builds being built upon it.
Ghost Rider with Nicolas Cage was on at the bar the other night.
I like the second one. The second one's very good. The first one sucks.
Yeah, the first one was on. But this is all I can think about.
The second one is from the director of Crank 1 and 2.
I like Crank 1. I didn't like Crank 2.
I like them both.
I mean, I like Crank 1.
They're dumb in a good way. You know in Fast and the Furious 9, Ludacris goes to outer space?
No, he doesn't. Are you serious?
What's next?
We got some cold sorceries.
It's getting cold in here.
What we have is some cold sorceries revolve around dealing magic damage and inflicting frostbite. Synergize as well with fire abilities, which will remove the frostbite status so it can be immediately reapplied. That's pretty dope.
Yeah.
It's like icy hot. Shaquille O'Neal would do
Heat
this.
up the ice cubes. It's the best of both worlds. Can you name that movie?
I don't know.
Rookie of the Year.
Oh,
Hot Ice.
I haven't seen that
You need to watch it
in a
again.
very long time.
Yeah. Henry Rowan Gardner. Come on. That's the next. We're gonna do Rowan Gardner Dogs after Elden Dogs is done, where we just talk about Rookie of the Year for 50 episodes. Is that play legal? I just broke Alexander.
Oh man. I literally lost my voice for a second. All right. We got the Snow Witch hat. Witch's pointed hat, frigid and frozen, though. Frozen through. Of a style associated with practitioners of heretical sorcery, strengthens cold sorcery. Once worn by the snowy crone, who the young Ranny encountered deep in the woods.
I do like Ranny instead of Ronnie.
Ranny.
Ranny.
I pronounce things phonetically. She was a witch and well versed in cold sorceries. It was said that the doll that houses Ronnie's soul was modeled after her. That old witch was Ronnie's secret mentor, and this will increase your potency of cold sorceries by 10%.
So yeah, if you're into cold, wear that hat.
Yep. Frozen armament adds 63 frostbite buildup to caster's weapon for 60 seconds. We got the glintstone ice crag. Behaves like a giant glintstone shard, but trades some range for higher overall damage with frostbite. 100 frostbite buildup.
I like Frostbite.
Frostbite's pretty cool.
Frostbite would be a good name for an American Gladiator.
It would.
I don't know if there was one.
I'm sure there was.
It's too good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They made a documentary on those guys. It was very good on Netflix.
How much cocaine?
Oh, so much.
Yeah, I could tell.
So much. Freezing mist generates a cloud of mist in front of you for several seconds, can be charged to expand its coverage while also increasing the duration of its effect. Any enemies in the mist will continually incur frostbite buildup. Get out of the mist, you dummies. They just stand there.
The cloud is silent.
The cloud is silent and won't alert enemies even when taking damage. So yeah, that's
How
probably
dumb do you gotta be?
like all of a sudden my toes are turning black and my nose falls off.
Freezing. I'm gonna just stand here. Why am I dying? Frostbite, fucking awesome.
Zamor Ice Storm. Strike the ground with the staff to create a freezing tornado. Charging enhances potency. 80 frostbite buildup per hit and can deflect some projectiles. I did use this because I think you get it from that Dragonkin, right? Maybe.
I'm not sure. I think you get this up by the village of the Zamor.
I definitely use this. Or I definitely use this. I don't think you get it from the Dragonkin by the big...
But it is sick. And it is cool. And any frostbite sorceries, I am in. I like all of them. Now we're into something a little harder. The Crystallian sorceries. Now, these are high intelligence spells that offer enormous damage potential. If you have the crystal staff, you get 10%. But if you have the rotten crystal staff, you get 10% and scarlet rot buildup.
That sounds so enticing.
It's very nice. It's very nice. These are okay. The Shattering Crystal, essentially an upgraded version of Crystal Burst, so it's like the shotgun, but you can get the benefit from Crystallian sorcery boosts. Crystal Release sounds sexual.
Yeah, if you or a loved one has been experiencing crystal release for more than 4 hours, please contact your physician.
Close range AoE, projectile rain of crystals, long initial casting animation during which the caster glows blue and has increased resistance to stagger, making it easier to not be interrupted. This one's cool, but my favorite one is the Crystal Torrent. Occupies a tactical niche similar to Comet Azure and functions like Crystal Barrage. You create a mass of crystals that fire off shards in rapid succession. You can just continue holding it down. So you just it's like a assault rifle of crystals. Lengthy startup, but very much worth it. and very long range. Crystal Torrent is pretty cool.
Next up, we got Gravity Sorceries, which just sound gnarly.
They sound great.
Unique that they deal primarily or almost exclusively with physical damage, which to me, as an idiot, just speaks simply, and I like it.
Yeah.
This is enticing.
Physical damage for sorceries is cool because, everything's usually magic based. So if you run into an enemy
Yeah. It's nice to have some physicality in there. So, some spells will pull enemies towards you. Radon is a big fan of these. He was taught by his master, an Alabaster Lord. You can get the Meteorite Staff. It'll boost all gravity sorceries by 30% or 60% if you duel them.
Yeah.
Which just sounds obscene.
If Gandalf had 2 staves, it'd be like, whoa, dude.
Yeah. Oh, man. He definitely... Well, then he might not have ever become Gandalf the White then.
We don't even know.
Yeah, that's scary. Gravity Well is going to fire a projectile of condensed gravitational force. Those struck by it will be pulled towards the caster.
Think a mime with the rope pulling you closer.
Mimes scare me, man. They're creepy. They move uncanny. I don't trust them.
They're beautiful.
It started with Mr. Mime in Pokemon. I was like, that is a creepy image. I don't like it.
I've never seen such a sexual creature.
I know. It's just exudes it.
Yeah.
It's gross. Charging enhances the potency of this. Straight line while locked off or towards your current target.
I mean, if you wanted to pull someone in, sure.
See, but I was more like get away from me in my playthrough. So this is like this defeats the purpose.
This is not what I'm into.
This is not what
Explicitly
I want.
against what I want.
We got the Rock Sling. I don't care what this paper says. This is dog shit.
Okay.
Pulls a clump of rocks from the earth and sends them flying. Heavy damage to health and stance. Effective range is roughly half your maximum lock-on distance. Elevation can significantly increase range. If you have the arrows reach talisman, you can get even better reach on this thing. One of the few spells that is affected by buffs or talismans that boosts physical damage, like the Blue Dancer Charm or Flame Grant Me Strength.
Yeah.
Got this?
I like this one.
Fuck this thing.
You don't like it.
I did not like it. Maybe I didn't give it a fair shake, but I got this one. I was like,
I'll tell you what,
go.
nothing feels worse than when you send them flying and they all miss the enemy.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that's what happened. And you're like, well, never using that one again.
Glintstone Pebble, I don't got to aim.
I don't even got to aim it.
Make it simple.
You're such a Bluntstone, dude. It's embarrassing. I'm never going to magic school with you, dude.
Dude, I just...
Oh, what was your name?
I'm Glintstone.
That's what I'm going to say to you.
Yeah. I'm out back smoking weed by the dumpsters talking about, you ever heard of this band, My
And,
Chemical Romance?
and you're like, hey, Gideon, you going to that party later? I'm like, I don't know you.
There is no party.
There's no party, dude. I told him there wasn't. It's fine.
Meteorite.
Very cool.
Summons a void that emits a rain of small meteors, or meteorites.
They're different, buddy.
It's different, yeah.
Yeah, that's why you're a Bluntstone.
Hold to continue the effect. Continuous long-range AoE projectile barrage. I do like this one.
You do.
I do like this one. Because if I'm just going to throw pebbles at somebody, it's going to be a glintstone pebble. I don't care if they call it rock sling. But if I want to throw a rock at somebody, it's going to be a meteorite.
Some people want to throw rocks.
I did at Cars once. I got in a lot of trouble.
Rock blaster.
Yeah. I legitimately did that, and I feel bad about it.
I feel bad about most of my life.
I was like 11. I can give myself some slack there. Collapsing Stars. Like Gravity Well, but with 9 projectiles. Gravity Well is stronger and can pull stronger enemies.
But this can pull lots of little enemies.
And then the Meteorite of Estelle.
Very good.
Summons a void that emits a hail of meteorites. Hold to continue the effect. A manifestation of power which Estelle used to level the Eternal City, which is fucking just absolutely gnarly.
This is a big AoE. It's great for big crowds because essentially it's just like peppering like meteors all over the field. And if you're trying to hit one enemy, this might not be the spell for you unless they're a big one. But it's all right. Our next group of sorceries are the Clayman sorceries. Let's just say if you like bubbles, this is your shit, dude. Because you summon bubbles.
Fucking love it.
The only sorceries require arcane because
Bubbles are magic.
Bubbles are a different school of life. If you're into bubbles, you're maybe not really into intelligence or faith. You just like bubbles.
If they're arcane, that explains why in Bikini Bottom, SpongeBob can make bubbles underwater. That doesn't make any sense.
Bubbles are made underwater all the time.
I know, but yeah, I guess they are, but like not the way that he's doing it.
Literally, that's one of the most common things you can make underwater.
No, but he's dipping the thing in.
If you fart underwater,
in the soap, and,
dude, I have arcane magic when I fart underwater because they're like, look at that bubble.
Yeah, but that's using air out of your body, not he dips it in the soap.
That's some arcane shit.
Then blows it.
It is arcane. The sorcery of the claymen who served as priests in the ancient dynasty. The claymen search for lost oracles within their bubbles. I don't think that they're too smart. The oracle bubbles produce several magical bubbles that drift towards foes before they naturally pop. Charging increases the delay before the bubbles pop. 9 bubbles created in total, and they slow everything down. Oracle bubbles are dumb. The Great Oracular Bubble produces a gigantic magical bubble that drifts towards foes before it naturally ruptures. Charging increases the delay before the bubble pops. This is fucking niche. This is for a specific kind of build. If you want to make bubbles, go for it.
This is at the top of things that I'm not going to use because I am not putting 18 points into Arcane.
This is designed for people that are like, can I beat Elden Ring with only bubbles? And go for it, buddy. I'll watch. I won't do it. Yeah, fucking Clayman. Good luck finding your fucking lost deities in your bubbles.
Up next, we have the Thorn Sorceries, aka Aberrant Sorceries.
Pretty cool.
These revolve around the ability to summon thorns to deal damage, which inherently much cooler than bubbles.
Immediately.
We're already better.
Immediately cooler than bubbles.
They require only faith to use. So this is something that's going to be on my radar for my current build.
Yeah, but I'm also like, faith?
I don't believe in the fingers.
Yeah.
Sacrifice your own HP to deal magic elemental damage and blood loss buildup, which is great.
It's kind of cool. It's
pretty cool.
Yes.
Spells discovered by exiled criminals. These spells are most.
This is how to hotwire a car,
dude. For real.
Yeah.
You wouldn't steal a car.
The Academy's like, fuck this shit, dude.
So already we are just speaking my language. You're telling me criminals make a blood loss sorceries that the school doesn't like?
Yeah, anything that the school's like that, we're not into that.
Do girls like them?
But they call blood loss?
So you can get the Staff of Guilty, Burning Stick from Thorn Sorcerers. It's going to boost your Thorn Sorceries by 20%. Elberic's set with red glintstone said to be formed by the blood of sacrifices, strengthens Thorn Sorcery, boosts Aberrant.
Aberrant? You got it right the first time.
Yeah. And then I panicked. Boosts Aberrant Sorceries by 6% per piece, minus legs and altered chest. This is already, you're speaking my language. This is the Staff of Guilty.
Yeah.
Red glintstones formed by the blood of sacrifices. Like, this is, I'm here for this.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
It's called the Black Parade even.
Dude, if they had one where like a parade of thorns just came through and fucked everything up, they called it the Black Parade.
Yeah.
Sign me up. So we have the Briars of Punishment. Wounds the caster with thorns of punishment, sending a trail of blood thorns running over the ground to impale enemies from below.
I'm just saying, if Jesus Christ could do this when he was impaled by thorns, and all of a sudden, like, he could summon up thorns to punish enemies, I'd be maybe more into Jesus. I'm just saying.
The sorcery can be cast repeatedly. Long range with slight tracking. 50 HP damage to the caster and 25 blood loss buildup.
I don't like damaging myself.
I don't either, but when it looks this cool, it's all about the swagger. And it's about looking cool in the lands between, trying to impress Bach, I guess he's my only friend that I got going on.
It's a cool thorn. I love you.
He's kind of creepy. And then we have the Briars of Sen. Wounds the caster with Thorns of Sen, creating a spiral of blood thorns around the caster. Initial radius is quite small, but the spell can be cast 3 times for increased range. A fourth casting reverts the size Each cast causes 80 HP damage and 30 blood loss buildup.
It's a lot.
Builds up hemorrhage. Costs 80 HP to cast. So that'll fuck your whole day up.
I don't like it.
If you misuse it.
It's cool. It's cool. But, I mean, I'm not into hurting myself.
No, but this is... I would like to mess around with this in my current build. And, I mean, only needing 21 or 24 faith, I think I'm definitely already over that.
You don't need to have a lot of faith or smarts to stab yourself.
No. You just got to believe.
Just got to believe. And that brings us to our final group of sorceries, the death sorceries. These typically deal magic elemental damage with a variety of primary or secondary properties. This requires both faith and intelligence, but requires more intelligence than faith. Deemed heretical by the Academy for its ability to allow sorceries to be augmented through faith in addition to intelligence. Essentially, anything that's about faith, get that shit out.
But what if you went to your professor and you're like, but I believe in the science?
And they're like, that's great, D-. Boosting can be done with the Prince of Death staff. You get a 10%. Sullied Amber is said to be the part of the Prince of Death staff that gives the stone the properties. Our first one we got here is Rancorall. Both Rancorall and the Ancient Death Rancor will conjure a swarm of spirits that slowly home in on your target when locked on. This has long lifetime, strong homing. They want to get to where they're going, and they will take their time to get there. Both spells cause most enemies to stagger, and Ancient Death Rancor has higher stagger and damage. The ability to stun lock and stagger are essentially second to none. If you cast these and they hit the enemy, they're going to slow them down significantly. Very good. And then we have Fia's Mist, which creates a deathly mist from the caster, which inflicts Deathblight upon those who enter. Extremely situational because inflicting Deathblight can only be done on players and NPC invading phantoms. So this is almost exclusively PvP. It will cause 20 Deathblight buildup, but mostly though, it's very situational and most likely completely useless. Speaking of useless, we have Tibia's Summons. Calls for three skeletons for a single attack. If the enemy is fucking barely moving, it will miss them, but by the time they come up and swing, it's a powerful opening attack if enemies are unaware or distracted. Mostly, I don't like this. We mentioned Ancient Death Rancor, and that brings us to the last sorcery of today, the Explosive Ghost Flame. This generates a large spherical explosion around you, dealing magic damage and frostbite buildup, as well as knockdown or heavy stagger to any enemies caught in the blast radius. Most effective at close range, long recovery animation. This Ghost Flame spell will do 130 frostbite buildup with 38 residual frostbite buildup afterwards. I don't like death sorceries in general, but there are effective builds with them.
There's a time and a place for them, but I mean...
Yeah, I like Explosive Ghost Flame is cool and Ancient Death Rancor, but yeah, sorceries are actually, they're fairly straightforward. There's a lot of, it's like, oh, what kind of a projectile we got? Ooh, you got some swords. Otherwise, I mean, they're fairly straightforward.
Yeah. They are a perfect way to get through your first From Software game. Definitely a crutch that I used for a while. And I remember when the game first came out, you remember on the subreddit, people were saying, like, you can't play this way. Mm-hmm. There was a large portion of players that were like, this is too easy. You can't do this. If you want to be a real player, you got to get in the thick of it. I'm like, I'm cool back here with my staff. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm very excited to discuss incantations because there's a lot more variety and weird stuff in there. And the schools are kind of all over the place. This one, it's fairly straightforward. You into sun? You into stars? You like stabbing yourself? Great.
Yeah. Then we got an incantation or a sorcery for you.
Yeah. And that's all we got for today. We're biding our time. We're not at the bottom of the barrel, as Alexander so eloquently put earlier, but...
Bottom of the jar, I should have said.
Yeah, we're at the bottom of the living jar. We are so excited to play Shadow of the Erd Tree.
And it's getting so close.
And we're getting close. If you're listening to this on the main feed, that means our Incantations episode will not be coming your way. The Incantations is going to be a Patreon episode. And if you want access to that, just check out patreon.com/hairofthedogcast. There's a free trial. Like, it's definitely worth just checking out if you're curious. We have a great community, great Discord. We would love to have you. Special thanks to executive producers Rykard, Christy, Nick Malekip, The Black Blade, Blackguard Big Brian Ward, Jordan Hoslow, Sorceress of Blood, Festering Fingerprint Phil Wright, Iron Fist Phil Just Phil, Knights Cavalry Coldell Gardno, Bell-Bearing Hunter Bryant Ross, and Crucible Knight Kelly Gutowski. We appreciate your support. And yeah, we are excited to talk about incantations next time. And then the next episode after that will be a Waiting for DLC party. It's going to be kind of like a drinking fest.
Yeah, that's
where we talk about who we want to drink with in the lands between. What do you think will be the smelliest? Where would you least like to spend a night overnight in the lands between?
Yeah, we should probably just come up with some like bizarre ass questions.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah, that sounds good.
If you have any bizarre questions, let us know.
Yeah, put them in the Discord.
Otherwise, thank you for listening. This has been Forgetting Offnir
and Alexander,
and we will see you next time.